Read the disclaimer before watching this video, as I say every time, but this is the start of chapter 2. Hope you enjoy. Let's get into it right now. Chapter 2. Charlie pulled to a stop, feeling the soft give of dirt under her tyres, and turned off the car. She got out and surveyed the surroundings. The sky was a rich, dark blue. The last trails of the sunset streaking off to the west. The parking lot was unpaved, and before they lay a sprawling monster of the building, a rising acre of glass and concrete. There were lamps in the parking lot that had never been used, and no light shone out onto the lot. The building itself looked like it was an abandoned sanctuary, entombed in the black trees amidst the distant roar of civilization. She looked at Jessica in the passenger seat, who was craning her neck out the window. "Is this the right place?" Jessica asked. Charlie shook her head slowly, not quite certain what she was seeing. "I don't know," she whispered. Charlie got out of the car and stood in silence as John and Carlton pulled up by the side. "What is this?" John stepped out the car cautiously and stared blankly at the monument. "Does anyone have a flashlight?" He looked at each of them. Carlton held up his keychain and waved around a frivol glow-in-the-dark pen for a minute. "Great," John muttered, walking away with resignation. My aunt makes me carry around a bunch of stuff for emergencies. Aunt Jen, loving but serve, had taught Charlie self-reliance above almost anything else. Before she let Charlie have her old blue Honda, she had instead let that Charlie know how to change a tyre, check oil, and knew the basic parts of the engine. In the trunk, in a black box, tucked in next to the jack, spare tyre, a small crowbar, she had a blanket, a heavy police issue flashlight, bottled water, granola bars, matches, and emergency flares. Charlie grabbed the flashlight, Carlton grabbed the granola bar. Almost a silent agreement, they began to walk the building's perimeters. Charlie holding up a light in a steady beam in front of them. The building itself looked mostly unfinished, but the ground was all dirt and rock, uneven and soft. Charlie shone the light on the ground, where grass had grown patchily in the dirt, inches long. "No one has been digging here for a while," Charlie said. The place was massive, and it took a long time to Kirkanikunate. I don't know how to say that. It was long before the rich blue of the evening was overtaken by a blanket of scattered silver clouds and stars. The surface of the building were all the same smooth beige concrete. with windows too high up on the walls to see inside. Did they really build this whole thing and just leave? Jessica asked. Carlton, said John, you really don't know anything about what happened? Carlton shrugged expressively. I told you. I knew there were construction, but I didn't know anything else. Why would they do all this? John seemed almost paranoid, scouting the trees as though eyes might be looking back at them. It just goes on and on, he squinted, gazing along the side of the wall of the building, which seemed to stretch endlessly into the distance. He glanced back into the trees, as if to make sure they hadn't missed a building somehow. Nope, it was here. He placed his hand on the drab concrete basin. It's gone. For a moment, he gestured to the others and began to walk back the way they came. Reluctantly, Charlie turned back, following the group. They kept going until they could see their cars again ahead the darkness. Sorry guys, I hoped there would be at least something familiar, Carlton said exhaustedly, looking back to make sure they hadn't missed anything. Yeah, Charlie said. She had known it would be, but seeing that Freddy'S had been razed to the ground was still a shock. It was so paramount sometimes in her mind that she wanted to get rid of it, wanted to scrub their memories, good and bad, from her head, as if they were never been. Now someone had scrubbed it from the landscape, and it felt like a violation. It should have been up to her. Right, she thought, because you had the money to buy it and preserve it, like Aunt Jen did with the house. Charlie? John was saying her name, and it sounded like he was repeating it. Sorry. What were you saying? Do you want to go inside? Jessica asked. Charlie was surprised that they were only now considering this. But then again, none of them were usually prone to criminal activity. The thought of a release, and she took a deep breath, speaking on an exhale. Why not? She said, almost laughing. She hefted the flashlight. Her arms were getting tired. Anyone else want to turn? She waved it back and forth like a pendulum. Carlton grabbed it and took a moment to appreciate its weight. Why is it this heavy? He said, passing it to John. Here, you go. It's a police flashlight, said Charlie absently. You can hit people with it. Jessica wrinkled her nose. Your aunt really wasn't kidding around, huh? Have you used it? Not yet. Charlie winked and made a half-threatening glance at John, who turned an uncertain half-smile and showed how to react. Sorry guys, I just watched this really gross video before. It'll be up on YouTube right now. Anyway. The wide entrances were sealed with a having metal doors, no doubt intended to temporary until construction was finished. Still, it wasn't difficult to find a way in, since many large amounts of gravel and sand sealed the walls, leading right up to the edges of the large gaping windows. Not trying hard to keep people out, John said. What's anyone going to steal? Charlie said, staring at the blank, towering walls. They climbed the hill slowly, the gravel shifting and sliding beneath their feet as they went. Charlie reached the window first and peered through. Jessica looked over his shoulder. Can we drop down? John asked. Yeah, said Carlton. No, Jessica said, at precisely the same time. I'll go, Charles said. She felt reckless, without looking through to see how far the far was. She put her feet through the opening and let herself drop. She landed, knees bent. The impact rocked her, but did not hurt. She looked up at her friends, staring down. Hang on, Charlie called, pulling a short stepladder from the wall nearby and setting it down under the window. Okay, she said. Come on down. They dropped one by one and looked around them. Inside was an auditorium, or maybe it would have been a food court, with metal benches and plastic tables scattered around, some bolted to the floor. The ceiling rose up high above them, with a glass roof where they could see the stars peering down at them. Very post-apocalyptic, Charlie joked, her voice echoing in the open space. Jessica sang a brief, wordless scale suddenly, startling them all into silence. Her voice rang out, clean and pure. Something beautiful in the emptiness. Very nice, but let's not call too much attention to ourselves, John whispered. Right, Jessica said, still very happy with herself, as they walked on. Carlton swept up and took her arm. Your voice is amazing, he said. It's just good. Accountants is, Jessica said, attempting humanly not to mean the word of it. They walked the empty halls, peering into each of the massive civities where the department store might have been. Some parts of the mall had been almost finished, while others were in shambles. Some hallways were littered with piles of dusty concrete, bricks and stacks of wood. Others were lined with glass-panelled storefronts, lights hanging in perfect rows above their heads. It's like a lost city, John said. Like Pompeii, said Jessica. Just without the volcano. No, Charlie said. There's nothing here. The whole place had a sterile feel to it. It was not abandoned. It had never been sustained life at all. Bye guys and girls, subscribe to me and Jacksepticeye. Love you all.